Hey, Terry, guess where we're going today?
Where are we going, Alex?
We're going to Krakow, Poland. I'm so excited.
I've always wanted to go.
Yeah, it's an incredible city, and we can't wait to share tons with you. Welcome to another episode of Babcia and Yaya Travel the World. It's a place where we like to spend some time talking about all things travel and how travel can be part of your lifestyle. Whether you're hanging out at home or you've got boarding passes in your hands, Babcia and Yaya have all the places that you should be. My name is Alex and I play the Babcia role. I'm a travel junkie who loves to share my travel experiences as a travel blogger and a travel coach. As always, I'm here with my bestie, Terry.
Hey guys, I'm here. This is Yaya, and today we are going to be chatting about Krakow, the cultural capital of Poland. Yay!
Yay!
I've always wanted to go. So we're going to dig in and share our best tips about this amazing town. So let's do some travel dreaming and check out one of the best kept secrets in Europe. We've got some helpful tips and great stories to share with you. As always, we are ready to share some of the things that keep us travel happy. We'll talk books, food, travel tips, and products that we love. And it'll all start with a little segment we like to call Now Boarding.
So, Terry, today makes me super excited because we are going to discuss one of the places that I love most in the world, and that is Krakow, Poland. And I can't wait for us to go there together.
Yes, please.
Please, as soon as we get those passports back in action, that I think that may be one of our first stops. So let's dig right in, and we're going to give you our now boarding picks for the incredible city of Krakow. I'm going to start with actually a book that takes place in the capital of Poland called Warsaw. It's called The Zookeeper's Wife, and it's about the couple that runs the Warsaw Zoo during the Nazi invasion, which is super important to know about if you're going to go to Poland. It's just such a huge part of the story that if you don't know anything about it at all, you're going to wind up missing out for sure. What about you? What's your book
Yes. And can I point out that I do know that was made into a movie?
Yes.
Don't watch the movie. Read the book. It is so much better. Okay, sorry, sidetrack on that. Let me get to my book pick. Mine is called Night by Elie Wiesel. Now, if anybody's gone through school and when you learn about the Holocaust, this is a book that is normally read. I've read it with my 6th grade students, and it takes place in actually Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
And it is when the Nazis occupy this town and the journey that's taken. It is just an amazing, moving book that I highly recommend.
I think that's kind of why we chose these, although both of them don't happen in the city of Krakow itself. Both of them show what the impact of World War II was on Poland, which was kind of the tug of war rope in this entire situation. Everybody was after this beautiful country of Poland because it's kind of considered the breadbasket of Europe. So knowing about other areas as well is very critical to understanding why Krakow is what Krakow is, because it's one of the very few cities that was not destroyed by the World War II damage, because believe it or not, Hitler liked it so much. He thought it was a beautiful city. So,
which it is.
It is. So let's talk about some travel tips for Krakow, because it is an incredible cultural capital, and there's a lot to take in by simply sitting in the main square and kind of enjoying everything going on around you. I think it's important to know that this is one of those places where taking in the scene around you is time that's just as well spent as touring like a major site. You get a lot out of it.
I like to call that people watching.
Definitely.
Great. Okay, so my travel tip is golf carts. Who would have thunk it, right? Golf carts
Mhm.
in Poland. But it's going to be so nice to get you to neighborhoods or cities when walking or other wheels of transportation are impractical.
Mhm. Yeah, don't be afraid to take them. They definitely work very well. So we are definitely a podcast that truly believes in how important your travel memories and your travel lifestyle are. So, our travel products are about remembering or anticipating your trip to Poland and to Krakow. Mine is the Pierogi Christmas ornament. And if you are not familiar with the deliciousness that is a pierogi and why it should be a glistening Christmas ornament on your tree, we will talk about that in just a minute. However, this adorable Christmas ornament is perfect for a tree in your kitchen or your travel tree to remember your time in Poland. It's certainly an iconic symbol.
Can I tell you, I have one on my tree?
Yes.
Wonder where I got it from.
Can't imagine. I love them so much.
My
Yep.
person. Okay, so my travel product is everybody's heard this saying, not my circus, not my monkeys. But did anybody ever know that's a Polish saying?
True.
So why not bring something back? We have a beautiful idea of a wine glass that has not my circus, not my monkeys on it. I would so bring that home.
They're adorable too. So we are providing all the links for everything that we suggest to you in our show notes and over on our website as well, www.tgctravel.com. So let's talk travel binges. There is a great cooking show on PBS called Flavor of Poland. And I really do love this show because it's half a cooking show and half a travel show. So she spends the first 15 minutes kind of looking around and the last 15 minutes of the show cooking what she's learned about. Her name is Alexandra August, and she's Polish American, like I am. I'm half Polish. And I totally adored all the different regions that she went to. And she cooks pierogies in Krakow. So I think that's very important. I'm going to say that word a lot in this episode. I feel it.
You know, I've watched it because you recommended it, and I really enjoyed it. I really did. But now
Yeah.
mine's going to go away from the food, and mine is called The Man That Would Be Polka King with Jack Black. Now, be
Oh my
careful
gosh.
when you go on Netflix because there's a couple, there's a documentary, then there's the one with Jack Black. And it is about a man named Jan, let me get his name right, Luan.
Mhm.
He's the polka prince of the Poconos. And he unknowingly winds up in jail over an illegal pyramid scheme. And Jack Black makes it hilarious. He's
I
got the accent, he's got it all.
He does. And I have to tell you, Jan Luan is still alive. He lives in South Florida, very close to where my mother lives. And I've danced to a little bit of Jan Luan's music over the years. It's pretty hilarious to see like this all happened. It's amazing to think like all of this insane story of what this guy did about being so happy to be in America. You need to tune in. We don't want to give anything away on it. So
No.
definitely one that's worth it. Okay. I am ready to talk about maybe my favorite thing about Poland, and that is the food. So I'm going to let you go first.
Okay,
Do your
so I really have got hooked on these like subscription boxes and stuff being sent to you. So there's one called it's called Taste of Poland Treats Box. and it comes to your door with deliciousness from Poland. And I'm going to tell you, Poland, they have this candy. It's chocolate and filled with vodka. I got some from my husband, and I think he was in love.
Stop and hold the phone. I don't know what else we all want in life.
Because what? Chocolate and vodka.
Chocolate and vodka. You're welcome,
There's
world.
the other treat that I've had is the chocolate covered prunes. Plums. They're plums. I'm
I
trying
think
to remember back.
Yeah, there are plums and prunes too. I think there are prunes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
and I
delicious.
like the Polo chocolate is good too from Eastern Europe. I like that a lot. Okay.
Delicious. Now take us to your favorite.
Okay, here comes my favorite Polish word again. It's pierogi. That's right. It is so important to know what a pierogi is because no matter what restaurant you're in, they will serve them. They know that the traveling crowd likes them. And there are places that simply sell just pierogi, which is basically a dumpling. And we've said this forever on our podcast and on our website. Always know what the local dumpling is because you kind of can't go wrong. If you're in Japan, you're going to eat a gyoza. If you're in Italy, you're going to have ravioli. If you are in China, you're going to have shimu. Whatever it is that you're going to have, knowing the little local dumpling is so helpful. And in this case, the pierogi is where it's at. They are filled with cheese and potato and sauerkraut and spinach. They can be savory. They can also be fried and served with apples or blueberries inside, which are also amazing. P.S. If you want to try making them on your own, by far, being a Polish American who had a babcia and a jaji growing up, I will tell you that the best pierogi recipe comes from Martha Stewart. Just look it up on her website. It really is the best.
Do you think Martha is making those for Snoop Dogg?
Yes,
She might be.
absolutely she is. And I know for a fact she is because they made them on their show. What's their show called? Martha and Snoop's Potluck Dinner.
Potluck dinner. I get it. Okay.
Yep. Yes,
Okay.
and she made pierogi for him on that show, and it was great, and he's like, "Martha, I had no idea. This is incredible." She's like, "I know. I'm Martha."
We need to
Yeah.
figure out what's going on with them, but that's a whole other show.
They're
Okay.
so great.
Okay. So my travel tech.
Mhm.
You know, anything you've always told me about traveling internationally is you want to learn the language. You want to be able to know something. So this YouTube video commercial that we have viewed on Poland and the essence. And you just forget about you're watching a video about learning to speak English. You're watching this little Polish man with such a spirit embrace the challenge and learn to speak English.
Mhm.
It's
And we
so
don't want to
heartwarming.
give it away. The ending
No,
is so cute on this little mini movie commercial. So
I know.
we're gonna give you the link. We don't want to tell you any more than that because
You're
you'll laugh.
gonna cry.
You
I mean,
will. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. That's the best thing to say. You're welcome.
Mhm.
Okay, speaking of learning language, I am recommending a great language learning app called Nemo. And it's free to download, and the lessons are great on it. It helps you get the basics of menu language down, which we always say is the best kind of language to learn. Just be able to order and be able to get the few things that you need in order to kind of survive for the time that you're there. So we recommend the Nemo language app for Polish. Good choices this time around.
Yes.
Here you go. All right, I'm so excited. Let's get started talking all about one of my favorite towns in the entire world, Krakow, or as they say, Cracovia.
That was so
So,
impressive.
thank you very much.
I'm so impressed with you. And I'm
I
so
try.
excited. I'm so excited to be able to ask you questions and plan my trip.
Okay, let's do it.
I love it. Okay, what's not better to do when we can't travel, but let's dream and plan. Okay, so let's start. Tell me, what's the big connection between Poland and America?
Well, I would say that there is a huge Polish population in America. 9.15 million Americans claim Polish ancestry. That is a ton. They live in places like the Poconos, Chicago, Bayonne, New Jersey. That's where my family's from, Milwaukee. You will find Polish enclaves all over the states, and you know some of these incredible, famous Polish people. We talked about Martha Stewart already, who built this incredible empire and is 100% Polish. She reminds me a lot of my mom. The Warner Brothers, there would be no Bugs Bunny without the
Oh,
Polish people. Take that into consideration. And the head scientist for the space program was Polish in the 60s. He was Polish. So amazing people here in America that have helped us out. But probably the most important one is the one you've never heard of before. The most important Polish American, according to America and to the people in Poland, is somebody called Thaddeus or Tadeusz Kościuszko. And you may say, who in the world is Tadeusz Kościuszko? Tadeusz Kościuszko was a military leader during the Revolutionary War who fought and led at the Battle of Saratoga and also created the original footprint of what we now call West Point, the military academy. So Thaddeus Kościuszko, a very important Polish American. He's often um, compared to the Marquis de Lafayette. And I think more people
oh,
kind of know who Lafayette is.
right.
Kościuszko played the same role in our American history. There you go.
Okay, can I say this?
Hmm.
I do think your mom, Martha Stewart reminds me of your mom a lot,
Hmm.
minus prison. Let's point that out. Your mom has not gone to prison.
Winning. Thank you. You're right.
Okay.
You're right.
I just want to point that out. Okay.
Okay.
So I'm heading to Poland. So
Okay.
tell me, how long do I need to stay? Okay. I know I'm going to want to stay forever,
Yes.
but to be able to get a feel of Poland and the people and the area and the culture, how long do I need to stay?
I will tell you, it is very feasible to do a 2-week whirlwind tour of the major points in the entire country. But in all honesty, in that same 2 weeks, you could spend all of it in Krakow and you would be just as happy. So I think it's kind of up to your tastes and not up to the capabilities of what 2 weeks can offer you, because you're more than able to go to Warsaw and Gdansk and Poznan and Krakow and put them all together, or simply stay within Krakow for 2 weeks. And I've done both, and both were great. So I think 2 weeks is a great amount of time to spend there. And quite frankly, for those of you who are budget minded, probably one of the best buys in Europe in terms of what you get for your money.
Wow. Okay, so that kind of ties in really to my next question, and you kind of answered it. Do I want to stay in one place or do I travel around? So I could do either or.
You can. And I suggest one of two things. Actually, one of three things. You can do a circle around the country by starting in Warsaw and then going up to like the Missourian region, which is like the lakes region. So
Mm-hmm.
think like the lakes region of Minnesota and Wisconsin,
Okay.
like that. Okay. You can head over to Gdansk, which is where the shoreline is on the northern Baltic Sea, and you can take a dip in the sea, the ocean there. You can then come down and see something like Poznan or Wrocław, and then wind up in Krakow and kind of make a circle throughout the country. You can go in a straight line from south to north or north to south with the three big anchors, which are Gdansk, which is where the solidarity movement happened. If you're familiar with the fall of communism,
Mm-hmm.
its birthplace is there. Warsaw, which is the capital, and Krakow. You can come right down the Vistula River and see them, or you can simply spend, again, all of your time in Krakow and do day trips from there to other places. And there's plenty of day trips to get to.
Okay, so my next question is important. I'm there now. I need to get accommodations, but I really want you to hit on, please, 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 that little Airbnb you stayed at.
Oh, sure.
Oh,
Okay, well, it's amazing. Okay, Krakow itself is full of so much charm that you are going to find amazing boutique hotels, all in the city center. And I do want to say this: there is no doubt that in any city that you visit around the world, if you want to stay in the city center, you're going to pay more money for those accommodations than staying toward the outer suburbs. And I really want to be clear that sometimes that money is worth it, that little bit of extra money, because if you are in the city center, you're not paying for transportation to get to so many places. You can use, cheap public transportation in the area or simply walk. And Krakow definitely is one of those cities where I would say making sure that you have a place to stay close to the city center is definitely to your benefit. Whether that's a pretty boutique hotel, which the majority of them are, or an Airbnb, which there are plenty. We stayed in an incredible pre-war building right off the main square, and it was a beautiful one-bedroom, like loft apartment that was owned by a famous actor at one time. And the most amazing thing that happened to us in that particular Airbnb that was right across the street from this incredible church and just all oozed charm, all the things that you would hope for. We went to go stand in the doorway when it was raining one day, and we looked at the buzzers, the doorbells that are on the side of the apartment building where this Airbnb was. And do you know our apartment had our family name as the name in there, and it had been there for ages. Someone with our family's last name lived there at one time,
ooh, and
which
that gave me
yeah,
chills.
I know, it was amazing. We couldn't believe it. It was really amazing. And those moments do happen to a lot of people there. And our last name is not typical. It's not like Smith in Polish. It's Piątek, which means Friday. So it was definitely a very interesting phenomenon that happened. And we tried to look into it. It was really neat. And that's how we found out that it was a famous actor.
I think it was meant to be.
Meant to be, definitely.
Okay, so this, kind of stresses me out sometimes.
Mhm.
Transportation choices. Like,
Mhm.
what's my best way to get around? Because, sometimes I'm not the best at it. So, what do I need to do?
Okay, I think that there are definitely, I would say 4 things that you need to know about transportation. First of all, again, I recommend staying in the city center, so the majority of what you're doing is walking. We talked about those golf carts before, helping to get from neighborhood to neighborhood, and an example of that is going from the main square area in the old town to the Jewish quarter, which is known as Kazimierz. So that's a perfect example of getting to one area to another very, very quickly. That it may be maybe like a half an hour walk where it would be like a 10-minute golf cart ride. So that's definitely helpful. And they are kind of cracking down on how many there are. So you'll have to look around for that. So that's definitely one thing. Another thing is that there is a tram system for the local area, and it does go from the main square to very close to the Jewish quarter, again called Kazimierz, and to other neighborhoods in the area. And there is a train system that will get you out of town. So there are plenty of different things. There are also tons of buses that you could take for day trips that will drop you from the city center in Krakow to the town center and wherever it is that you'd like to visit. So those are all very convenient, and there are plenty of cars for hire. If you plan on doing an extensive tour, you may want to choose hiring a car service to help you with that. And it's quite a good value for what you get. So
Okay.
definitely something to think about. Yeah.
So I have my options. Okay, so
Mhm.
let's talk about Krakow. What are the icons?
Okay. So I think that the majority of people visiting Krakow are looking at 3 very distinct areas. We mentioned the Old Town Square, the main square,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is connected to the Royal Way. Those tend to be in European towns. It's about a kilometer, no more than a mile, and they tend to connect whatever the main square is or the church is with the palace or castle. You see that in Edinburgh, you see it in quite a few places. So there's that area. There is the Kashmir's area, which we definitely talked about, which is full of music and restaurants. It's a great place to go at night to have dinner. It's not very big at all. There are a few sites to see there, and definitely the synagogues are very interesting there.
Mm.
So,
Okay.
definitely something to think about and get some great context for everything going on. As you can imagine, the Jewish population never really recovered in Krakow after
Right.
World War II. So it's very, very small. And then the third area that most people want to see is the old Jewish ghetto. This was the area that was
Mm-hmm.
blocked in where everybody was kind of quarantined,
Right.
um, which has the famous Eagle over the door pharmacy and Schindler's Factory Museum. So those are like the 3 big iconic areas. The castle, the churches, the main square, the Jewish quarter, and the ghetto. I would say kind of take up 90% of your in town touring.
What about some of those hidden away past icons? What would you recommend?
Yeah. So I will say this, the name of the castle in Krakow is called Wawel Hill, and it is up on a hill, and it overlooks the beautiful Vistula River. And there is kind of like a riverside park.
Mm-hmm.
And underneath the castle, you could take a spiral staircase down from the castle, or you could go around the ramparts and go to the river. There is an incredible sculpture named Smoke, and it is the dragon that looks over the city. So SMOK, Smoke. The dragon is there, and you should go and check out Smoke. Has fire coming out of his mouth. I believe every 15 minutes he breathes a little fire. So it's a very cool thing to see, and a great kind of mythological story of the dragon who was slayed in order to have Krakow saved. So, a great story. There's the underground museum, which is literally underneath the main square. You may not even realize that it's there if you don't go looking for it. And it goes into the archaeology of how Krakow was developed over time. And it has tons in it, really interesting, and kind of explains the royal family and how things were logistically set up with the royals over time. So that's very interesting. Another thing that I think is very overlooked in Krakow are all the churches. There are so many Roman Catholic churches in this city, and you do need to kind of peek your head into a lot of them. They're all very different. Their architecture is different, and you could wind up at churches with stories like you've never heard. The main church on the square, St. Mary's, has the story of the bugler who's cut off. And you can read about this story of how during a time of war, the bugler who was sounding the alarm was shot. So they no longer play the end of the song of the alarm.
Oh.
So you can see it to this day. There was a church that we went to that was close to the Kashmiris district, which had a cage on the back of it. And
Makes you wonder.
this is where they put all of the gentlemen who spent some cash on the ladies of the night, and they were put in this cage as penance for all to see if they were caught. So, a very interesting story at that church. There is another church, and this was very close to our Airbnb right across the street, that had an altar to Saint Hyacinth. And you may say, I don't know who Saint Hyacinth is. Well, let me tell you, Saint Hyacinth is, here it comes, ladies and gentlemen, the patron saint of the pierogi.
Oh, yes.
I'm going to go say a prayer there. So there's a lot of like different little bits and pieces, and it's not just kind of church after church. And I will say the architecture is very different and the art is very different across the board. Some of it is mesmerizing. I mean, the blue ceiling with the gold stars of the basilica is a blue you've never seen before. It
And
is amazing.
I can only imagine with all these Catholic churches, the amount of nuns that are floating around.
There's nuns everywhere.
Okay,
They're all coming.
so you're telling me
Yeah.
all these great places. Now tell me what I need to avoid. What do I need to pass on?
I will say that off the main square, there are a lot of hawkers, and they're gentle, they're not aggressive, who may be looking for an audience for someone to listen to Chopin's music on the piano, or they have traditional dancers or something like that. I think they're far, far better in other locations that a concierge could set up for you. We went to one that was in a beautiful rustic cabin that was kind of in the suburbs, and they had a beautiful dinner show, and it was great. It was a lot of fun. It just wasn't like thrown together just to make another dime. It was done very, very well.
Okay.
So that's about it, though. They do pretty much everything with a lot of quality. A lot.
Yeah. Now you talked about I could do some day trips. Like there's
Mhm.
transportation where you can, or buses that can take day trips from Krakow. What are some day trips that I would want to make sure that I do?
Okay, let me give you, let's say, 5 of them that are
Okay.
really, really worth it. One town that I totally recommend is called Wrocław. It looks like it's spelled war claw. And this city has an incredible feel to it. It's an old factory town that is now a college town. And one of the most charming elements of the whole town is that there are little, maybe 6 to 9 inch gnomes, metal statuary art all over the city in all different kinds of things. At the old jail, there's a gnome with a ball and chain on his ankle. At the church, there's a gnome riding a motorcycle because the priest there has a motorcycle. At the restaurant, there's a gnome sitting down eating a plate of pierogies. And there must be about 300 gnomes all over the city doing all kinds of different things. And they're so charming to come across. It's a great scavenger hunt to see all of them everywhere. We had a lot of fun with that. And it was a great food tour town. So great place to get a walking food tour for sure. Another place that you may be very interested in going is Zakopane, which is to the south in the mountains. If you are interested in getting outdoors, taking a hike, kind of getting out to the countryside, this is the place for you. It is a beautiful, picture perfect town with all of the beautiful things that you can think of. The last time I was in Zakopane, there was a local couple getting married, and they had horse-drawn carriages, not only taking them, but after their carriage went, came the band playing music, and then all of the people who were attending the wedding all came by in like wagons, and they were all dressed in traditional dress for this particular wedding. It was really a charming thing to say. We pulled over to watch the whole thing and waved at the bride and the groom.
Oh,
Very, very sweet. Yes, you can go river rafting there or skiing in the winter. It's an incredible place to go. So definitely worth it. Another town that you may want to go to is called Częstochowa. Now, Częstochowa is a little bit retro and it's a little bit shabby, but if you have any connection to the Roman Catholic Church and you're interested in seeing the Black Madonna, which is Our Lady of Częstochowa, it is here at the monastery, and you are able to go and see it at 12 noon and tour the monastery as well. I have to say, that particular tour I did on maybe the last day I was there, the first time I was in Poland. The priest that we had lived in Philadelphia for a while. I never laughed so hard in a church. This guy was so funny and so charming and took us absolutely everywhere. And we got such an incredible tour in this particular place. It was very, very interesting. And there are quite a few religious sites. Pope John Paul II, he's now a saint, was born very close by. There's an incredible complex just outside of Krakow in his name as well. So there's quite a few places that you can go for that. And I'm trying to think, there's one more saint. I want to say Faustina, but I think I'm wrong. I will put it in the show notes. There's another nun who has an entire complex there that's very, very interesting if that's your thing.
oh, cool.
Yeah, another place that you may want to check out is the Wielicka salt mine. And you may say, I am not going to a salt mine, it's salt. I'm going to tell you that this is probably one of the most amazing places you can ever go. It is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. And while you think you're going to put on a miner's hat and go and just walk and see walls of salt, you are not. Because the people who mined the salt were also artists, and they made the most incredible carvings in this place and sculptures in this place and rooms and chapels. People hold their prom in this salt mine.
Heck yeah.
People get married in this salt mine. There are salt chandeliers. There is a salt altar, and it is not pure white like what comes out of your
Salt shaker.
salt shaker. It is kind of a gray color because the minerals are still in it.
Mm.
It is one of the most amazing places that you can see. It is an incredible story of how important salt is. The word salary comes from the word salt. And it is also an incredible story of art, an incredible story from World War II. There's quite a few layers to it. Even how they got the horses into the mine to help out is interesting. So an incredible thing that is totally worth it. But I think the most important day trip that people think about when they think about Poland is going to the Auschwitz-Birkenau Memorial
Mhm.
in southern Poland. And I will say, as a traveler, I believe that this is compulsory. I think it is so important that people go and understand what happened so that they have that context with them no matter where they go.
Mhm.
Since I have been there, I refer to the moments of what I learned in Auschwitz and Birkenau so much, whether I'm in France, whether I'm in Southeast Asia, whether I'm in Africa. It is amazing how what you learn there gets translated into learning about the history of so many others. But learning about what happened there and really kind of elasticizing your empathy
Mhm.
and your ability to empathize for other people is so important to being the best adult that you can be. And Auschwitz is there for history to never repeat itself, which is
Exactly. Mhm.
the point of why they are there. They also want it to be there so that those people never forget. And I'll give you a perfect example of how we think about that. If you're from the New York City area, if I say never forget, you probably think right away 9/11.
Correct.
Because that's what everyone said to each other was when the towers came down, never forget, never forget.
Mhm.
Those words were in Auschwitz decades before. Never
Mhm.
forget, never forget. And you do kind of need to kind of almost go through the grieving process, the shock, the denial that it could have been that bad, the anger that humans did this to other humans, the grieving and the sadness of it, and then the acceptance to understand that you learned this story to truly be a better human being yourself
Amen.
is so important, and it really does that for you. So I believe that that's probably the most important thing that you can do, and quite frankly makes the rest of Europe make sense and makes the rest of the world's history like you get it. You really do kind of see the interconnectivity of everything, and
Yes.
it is an epicenter. Amazing.
And since I'm over there, I
Mhm,
don't, why not extend my trip?
mhm.
Where else can I go? Where can I go after I leave there?
Yeah, if you're going to take those 2 weeks that we talked about at the very top of this particular segment, and you're going to stay in Krakow and you want to extend past that, you can certainly stop in Germany. You could
Yeah.
explore the rest of the country. I think Copenhagen is an incredible overnight stay. Go see Tivoli Gardens and those kind of things. Or Amsterdam is an easy connection to make. A lot airlines connects through Amsterdam. So definitely worth it to do those. So those would be the first ones that come to mind for me.
Okay.
Definitely.
You know me, I'm a souvenir kind of gal. So,
Mhm.
what are some things that I can bring back?
Well, this fellow souvenir kind of gal says the first thing that I would bring back is Polish pottery, which is everywhere. You can't miss it, and it's dirt cheap. P.S. The stuff that you see in TJ Maxx or Tuesday Morning or Marshalls is the real thing, but you are paying far more for it there than if you were to pay for it in a retail shop in Krakow. So
So,
just
I
to
need to
put
make
that
a
out
trip
there.
so I can go get some cheap pottery.
This is all I'm saying because
No,
it's amazing
it
stuff.
would so make sense to my husband to say that.
Yes, and I will say this, the vodka is amazing there, and the one that I suggest is called Żebrowska, that starts with a Z, Żebrowska
I knew
Bison,
that.
yeah, Bison vodka, and it's really good.
Mm.
Put it in the
Okay.
freezer, yeah.
Okay. We've got time for one last tip. What can you share?
One last tip. If you do plan on getting that pottery, have a plan for getting it home because it can be a nightmare. Trust me, I speak words of wisdom when I say that.
Let's say get it home safely.
Yes, find a post office or a place that ships and get yourself set up. Now, I will say, I know off the top of my head, just sitting here with no research, of 3 local post offices right around central Krakow, right within a few blocks of the main square. Very easy to get to. So it is easy to find a place to ship something home. However, there are many places that will do that for you. So, one way or another, definitely make sure that you pack it well. And can you imagine schlepping all of that on a plane? You don't want to take that chance.
No.
So, have a good plan to get it home. It may cost you a bit, but the experience of buying it where it comes from is an amazing concept. Amazing. I love it. Okay, Terry. So, we talked about the fact that being a people watcher in Krakow is a really great activity. Like it's time well spent sitting in a gorgeous cafe and enjoying the atmosphere around you. Are you a people watcher when you travel?
Heck yes, I am.
Heck yes.
I think you learn so much by just sitting back and watching. I'm going to tell you, we go to Disney all the time.
Mhm.
It's some of the best people watching out there. You got to take that time to sit back and enjoy. I'm watching the people at Disney probably for other reasons that I would watch the people in Poland, but I like watching people.
Some of my favorite stories come from people watching. We were sitting in a cafe one evening right on the beautiful main square, St. Mary's Square, and we were eating ice cream, and right in front of us there were some roving musicians, and a man got down on one knee and proposed, and everyone started singing this celebratory song, which is kind of equivalent to happy birthday or for she's a jolly good fellow, like that kind of song.
Yeah.
And it's called Stolat, and everyone in the area broke out, "Stolat, Stolat, da na 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 na." It was so sweet to see that happen, and if we weren't there kind of just relaxing, we would have never seen that. It's one of my favorite memories off the main square there in Krakow.
Oh.
Yeah. The travel industry has taken quite a blow from several global issues, including the war in Ukraine, the COVID 19 crisis, and inflation, that makes it hard for people to get out into the world like they want to. At this point, leading experts are predicting that it is going to take up to 3 years for the travel industry to bounce back to full force. One way that you can help it is to like and subscribe to 10 microbloggers. Start with us. You can like and subscribe to our podcast and our website so that you can tell the travel industry that people are still interested in travel. So, Terry, how can listeners get a hold of us?
We'd like to hear from you. Contact us at babcianyaya@gmail.com with your questions, suggestions, favorite travel tips, products, and travel trends so that we can share your ideas in the future. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and LinkedIn. Here you go, guys. Babci and Yaya. BABCIA and YIAYIA.
Babcianyaya.com is the home base for everything that we love about travel. And it's where we store our show notes as well as many of the resources that we offer to our travel community, including travel literacy for the kiddos. We always have new posts about all the things we love and about all the travel we're up to, including today's topic, as well as features on destinations, travel lifestyle, and stories to make you smile.
Didn't get all that? Just check out our show notes for all of the ways to stay in touch and links to anything we chatted about in this episode. As always, Thanks for joining us for our journey.